my name is Michelle. I'm a sustainability educator and activist, and I'm very excited to join you today on sharing my path of sustainability journey and assisting you to find your own sustainability journey path. So, before we begin, what does the word sustainability mean, and what comes to your mind when you hear this word? Some of you, this might be climate change. You might think about the environment, green energy, maybe United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or you might have heard about these words but do not know what it might actually mean, or why is it important and you should care about it. There are many different definitions about sustainability and sustainable development, but for me, it means making a world better place without compromising or destroying the possibility of the next generation. If you wonder whether something or some action is sustainable or not, you can think about, can we do this action or use this over and over again forever without causing any harm? I want to share with you three main pillars of sustainability, which is social, economic, and environment. And each of them are different, and yet they are very interconnected. So in terms of social, you're able to see some of this that we're referring here are regarding poverty, health and equality, education, food and nutrition. In economic side, we're thinking about green product growth, technology innovation, creating a fair employment and fair production. And in terms of environment, there are things like climate change, deforestation, waste management, protection of ecosystem. When we first hear the word sustainability, I know many of us instantly think about environment, but there are all these three pillars that are working together, and there's a lot of interconnections that I would like to share with you today in finding your own journey. So I would like to first start off with the environmental pillar. We all have been hearing it, I think, especially as a youth, about climate change and emphasis on environmental sustainability because it is one of our main source of our everyday. We get our energy, food, and resources from our environment. But at the same time, we are facing a big challenge in our human Earth. So, for example, with the industrialization, we started to emit more and more harmful greenhouse gases, and it has been trapping the heat in our atmosphere and increasing our temperature. You might say, like, okay, increasing temperature, what is the biggest deal about it? But we also know that it has been creating a lot of challenges. And one of the big challenge is that our unsustainable energy use or deforestation continues to create this over longer lasting impacts. The challenge is that with the change in our environment, we've also been causing lots of damages to our daily lives. Actually, very recently, July 4th, 2023, we had the recording of the world's hottest day. We also have been constantly experiencing more frequent drought in areas, while at the same time, some areas has been experiencing more frequent flood. There's a lot of unnatural and higher amount of forest fires, at the same time polar ice melting, which results in higher sea level. This also have huge implications to our social world and our economic system as well. Now, talking about the economic pillar of the sustainability, I wanted you to think about, okay, so I briefly mentioned about the environmental impact of climate change and disaster. And in order for us to recover from this disaster, we also need economic or the money pieces. Think about amount of the money and time and social welfare it costs to revive a town or city from this disaster. Also, in our world, all of our resources that we get from our environment, they also have economic value in our society. So it is very important for us to think about economic sustainability, and we aim to achieve economic growth without harming the environmental trade-off. So another pieces to think about in this economic pillar is think about our culture of consumption and how it ties with our waste production. Many works to find the ways to reduce less and then move into a less wasteful system, prioritize the switch and the operation into more renewable energy and resources. And some other economic issues that are also tied to our societal issue is the growing wealth gap. Rich people getting richer and people who have less access, and the poor people even getting more poor. And we've been seeing extensive growth in this gap in this economic side as well. And now, in terms of the social sustainability, We are evaluating the system, relationship, and the structure. These are the things that impact our quality of life, equality, diversity, and our social well-being. There are certain things we must ensure that so that we can have equal opportunity. We should all have our rights to quality of education, health, access to food, access to clean energy and safe water, and have a safety and equal treatment and peace. But we also know that there are so many people who do not get any of this access to education because of their gender, race, or even socioeconomic status. We know that there are gender gap in terms of pay, and there are unequal opportunities related to it as well. We also know many people are silenced. There are people without housing, people without peace. The rights are taken away from some people. These are all complex issues we all are currently facing in our society. I know these are the global issues that we are currently facing, and solving all of these pillars requires participation and a lot of collaboration. These three pillars: environmental, social, and economic ones. And amongst even three of this pillar, some of it might resonate more with you than the others. You might personally have experienced some of this or have seen this firsthand in your life. And if you feel like some of this you have more passion or strong feeling or enthusiasm to work through, I want you to hold on to that feeling and identify them. I want you to now move on to focusing a little bit on this United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So these are also called the SDGs. So in 2015, United Nations member state adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This is defined to provide the blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet, and now and into the future. There are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which range from ending poverty, reducing hunger, improving health, education, reducing the inequality, consumption, clean energy, climate change, preserving oceans and forests, to peace and participation. There are so much issues I know that we are challenging right now, and it might feel overwhelming. But at the same time, you don't have to feel the pressure that you have to solve every single one of these goals either. But I want you to think about which ones do you care about most and dig a little deeper. And soon you'll also identify how some of these are very connected with each other. So another thing I want you to think about is, even though there are 17 goals, and even you have chosen some of it, I want you to think about how would you like to work on it for your communities. Think about these goals and learn about how they intersect with each other and localize them into your context. Localizing means putting this process and these ideas into account of your local context. For example, SDG 1, no poverty. It looks different in every country or even different regions within the communities. Are people living under poverty? How is poverty defined in your community? Who is impacted? You do not have to answer all these questions right now, but throughout today's session and onward, I want you to start to dig deeper into your own communities and think about this. Changemaker is someone who takes action to contribute towards a greater good. They take action to make their community a better place, and this action can be small or big. It can be something small as starting a compost at your home, or as big as transitioning your local energy into renewable resources. We have discussed previously that different societal issues, United Nations SDGs, climate solutions, and we know that change is much needed in our society to solve this crucial issue for our time. And more of us need to take action in to make this change. So UN SDGs have been discussing, and it also been known as the Youth Agenda, with a specific reference to us, the youth, being the first generation that can end poverty and the last that has chance at saving our planet. These are the real-world problems that we will carry on and continue to shape our world. When we're learning about these global issues and about these goals, I admit that sometimes it feels too overwhelming. Some of these problems feel like it's beyond our control, too large, caused by a larger system, making us feel paralyzed at times. And currently, I think our world today is home to the largest generation of young people in the history. There are 1.8 billion youth constituting a large population. a manpower of 1.8 billion can play a crucial role in transforming our world into action. And today, I also want to share with you that many youth, like us, are already working on many of these areas, and you don't have to solve all these problems and issues alone. Instead, we can join this movement and contribute in the area where we can. So, when we are thinking about our solutions, we want to think about who would be capable of providing or implementing solution to these issues. There are many venues, but I want to share three main pieces. One is your government. They are responsible to protect people, make decisions, regulate industries, and for the interests of people and provide services. The other one is around industries or corporation. They are accountable to their stakeholders and themselves. And yet they're also very interested in making the profit. And as part of it, they also have to innovate their technology, work on efficiency, and they also have corporate social responsibility and work to be done in the sustainable development field. And last one is individuals, where we can impact people's behavior, lifestyle, or you can also impact others through education. And I want to share with you different solutions. Many of the different solutions range from technology, lifestyle changes, policy regulation, education, community engagement, or activism. So this is something I also want to share with you that if you divide our global greenhouse gas emission by sectors, energy sector take up to 73% of our emission. And we use energy in our building, industries, transport, heating, to home, and more. And renewable energy resources, which are the clean and accessible energy, can come from, in the past, the energy has been coming from fossil fuels, and we want to move away from fossil fuels and creating more greenhouse gases, rather really focus on different energy supplies that are more sustainable and moving away from dependence from fossil fuels. So some of the youths are really working towards reducing this and really putting emphasis with the government and industry to transform the larger systematic change through activism, education, and various other methods. Others might also be looking into different solutions that are more focused into specific sectors. So some are looking into decreasing the toxic emission of greenhouse gas by switching into biofuel, which are the fuels that are made from the organic waste. And others are looking into changing the land use and instead of deforestation, cutting down the trees, focusing on the reforestation. Some are looking into installing sensors in building to increase energy efficiency and reduce the energy inefficiency using the smart grid system. So another people are also looking into solar desalination system to reduce severity of the drought. Others are looking into vertical farming. In terms of a little bit more on lifestyle change or education sector, there are all other things that you can do at your personal level as well. You can look into working on foods and consuming foods that are more local so that you have less greenhouse gas emission, and you can also reduce some of your carbon footprint. Others are making easy changes, such as moving away from using paper materials into electronic ones, or learning about reduce, reuse, and recycle cycle, or shopping local to support your system, which is for your social aspect, at the same time reducing the carbon footprint, which is environmental as well. Another ones, the backward pyramid shows the energy emission and greenhouse emission depending on what vehicle you're using. And another venues of solution include impacting community through community engagement, influencing policy change and activism. Other ways including meeting with stakeholders, reaching out to your community, sharing feedback, training to include more community members into sustainability discussion. Local work with stakeholders, politicians, and others to impact the policy change in your area. So there are way more. These are some of the very few examples of other youth initiatives from World Economic Forum contests, and there's 94 of them where you can see different areas youth are working with, and it inspires you. At the same time, make you feel like you don't have to work on every single area, but you can focus on area that you can do best at. So I want to end this session by asking yourself these three questions. What am I passionate about? What are my strengths? And what does the world need? And that will allow you to define what does sustainability means to you. And this will be your magic formula in the middle towards your sustainability journey. Thank you.